Hey everybody, we are going to make some tortillas today. We think we're going to make them bigger this time so we can make little mini pizzas out of them. I'll show you the size we normally make of these just for snacking and stuff. So we're going to make some big ones. We got this cookbook. Where did we get this cookbook? Tim, I'll get my flour stuff.
This cookbook is put out by the Monticello Fish and Game Club in Monticello, Maine, which we're a member of, and it has recipes in here from different members of the game club, and so we're going to use this tortilla recipe. It's got meals, breads, desserts, lots of different recipes. It's come in pretty handy.
Alright, so what do we need?
Well, let's see.
3 cups of flour.
Flour, baking powder, shortening, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of water to make stiff dough.
Alright, so flour and teaspoons or tablespoons or both?
I guess a tablespoon of baking powder, a tablespoon of shortening, and a teaspoon of salt.
Okay. I can do it. I can do it. We don't get too persnickety with the tortillas about the ingredients. Thankfully, they're pretty forgiving. Some stuff that I make, breads and that, we weigh everything. And I prefer these nice, easy breezy recipes. So that was our flour. Here comes our 2 tablespoons of baking powder. All right, we need 1 teaspoon of salt. You want to get that for us?
Yeah. I'm gonna have my drink, the hard stuff.
Sweet tea.
Lipton peach tea. There you go.
Okay. Move this out of the way. Go ahead and get this ready before we get our hands all messy. Alright. Here's my rolling pin, and this is a treasured thing to me. When we left Mexico, I wanted something unique and special, and we have some beautiful pottery, but I just wanted something else. So we found a lady there. She now lives in Oregon, right?
Oregon, yeah.
But anyway, she was there. They owned a home there in Mexico, and they had been there for many years. And she worked with acrylic. Anyway, so she made me this handmade rolling pin to my specifications, what I wanted. And it is a treasured possession. So I enjoy when I get to use that thing. Enjoy it. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add some shortening. 3 tablespoons of shortening. That's 1. Now Tim has our pan heating up over here, so hopefully I'm not going too slow for him. Yakking. So we've never made these this gargantuan size, so we'll see. Now I'm gonna need here in a second a cup of warm water, Dada T. If you could get it on the ready.
Is it okay to use that?
Yeah, that'll work just fine. Definitely needs to be warm.
Mm-hmm.
Baking bread in the wintertime in Maine can be a challenge. I've been working on some sourdough starter, and I had to find it a warmer place to hang out here in the kitchen. It was beside the outside wall over there, you know, just an outside wall, and it was just a little too chilly. So now we have it behind our hot water. So this big silver thing. Oh, okay, just have to set it down because I'm not ready. Yeah.
Okay.
And this big silver thing is hot water boiling or simmering just to get some humidity in the house with the heat and all. Okay. Now, let's see. You can have that. Pour that in there. If you'll stir it around while I wash my hands, that would be great.
Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. This year has really flown by. Really.
Yes. We did spend Christmas here last year, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Yeah, we were still waiting on our furniture, that's right.
We have not been outside of the state of Maine
Unless you count Canada.
for a year. Well, yeah. Yeah, we've been, I have to take that back because we've been to Canada 3 or 4 times. We've only been out of this county once, and that was going down to Danforth. That's in Washington County here. I don't know
All
exactly.
right, I will
what
take it from here, thank you. I might need another splash of that water.
Okay.
I might have overdid it with my flour. I didn't measure everything. I guess traditionally on Christmas
Splash.
Eve, okay, that'd be perfect probably. Yeah. Traditionally on Christmas Eve, people make cookies and things like that. Make tortillas.
And if we have the ingredients, we may just make some cookies.
We can certainly make sugar cookies and oatmeal cookies. We have all for that.
That wouldn't hurt my feelings at all.
Ooh, I love cookies. All right, I think we're close to where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna knead this a little bit. See if we can get it together. If you think your pan is scorching, I'm gonna probably be another 5 minutes.
It's fine.
Okay, this is gonna take me a while to incorporate.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the people who've had to deal with power outages, high winds, and really cold temperatures across the United States, because normally in some of the areas that have had to deal with below zero temperatures don't normally deal with them. We've had, and we do commonly have below zero temperatures up here, so we know exactly what it feels like, and it can be brutal. So We all need to think about those folks.
I think we have some advantages too, since the water pipes and things like that are buried under the frost line here. That's something they do in preparation for cold weather that they don't do in other states for obvious reason. So we may even have a little bit of an advantage. All right, so
Being prepared up here when it gets really cold, where it gets really cold, is not just something that you think about doing. It can be a matter of life and death. So you've got to stay ahead of the game, because if you don't, it can easily hurt you.
all right. So how big do you think you want your little pizza? This 8-inch circle here?
That's probably,
That'll fit the bottom of the pan.
yeah,
8 inch,
that
yeah.
8 inches probably plenty,
Okay.
and 6 probably would do
Okay.
okay.
That sounds good to me. Let's see what we can do. Now this tortilla dough is very forgiving. You can ignore it for a while and then form it out, or you can form it out now. We've worked with it and figured out that whatever works for you works for the pizza dough, or the tortillas anyway. That's not good. I got a big hole in it. All right, we're gonna try that again.
I got my cast iron skillet heating up. Anything tastes better in a cast iron skillet. You know, I tell you what you could do,
What's that?
just as a suggestion.
Uh-huh.
You could flatten that out.
Yeah.
And then take one of those glass bowls. Make
Oh,
it
and then
perfectly circular.
that'd be good, because I'm probably not gonna be able to make a perfect circle as it is. Especially since I ripped a hole in it and had to fold it over and stuff. Think it'll fit in there anyway?
Yeah, I think it will.
All right.
And just
Not working? You need a little sharp knife, or?
No,
No,
it
it's
seems to
working.
be working. And like you say, it don't have to be perfect. Just something to help.
I like that it's gonna be some kind of uniform style or
Yeah.
size. All right.
It's close enough
It looks pretty good for a mini pizza.
for any pizza. So this is gonna be a little bit different because it's a little thicker.
Is it thicker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine, but I'm used to having the real thin ones.
Well, I'm gonna work on making it thinner than that then.
Well,
That's our test one
I don't know that
anyways.
we want it.
It's our
any
test
thinner.
one. Oh, okay.
I think it's gonna be good with that thickness. It's just, this is gonna be an experiment because they're usually not that thick. We always always gotta have one to sample to make sure that it's not poison.
That's our favorite way, plan anyway.
Poison control.
So this is right at a 6-inch circle,
Well,
but it keeps going in a little. So, but you don't need it yet, right? Well, that shrunk a little, so let's do a little bigger than that. Just looking back over there at you, it looks like that's shrunk a little. You see what I'm saying? How
Yeah.
small it is? So I'm gonna make something bigger than that, because that shrunk a little. Maybe if this shrinks, it'll still be a normal, decent size. There's nothing wrong with a square piece of pizza.
Nope.
That flatbread pizza's usually square.
Yeah. It'll eat just the same.
So I'm ready if you're ready.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see. We started making bread in Mexico. We used to make sourdough crackers, which I'm working on some sourdough over there on the stove, so if that turns out pretty good soon, we might share that with you. Sourdough crackers. We love those things.
Yeah, man, those are good.
What were those? Oh, it's not. What were those breads we made in Mexico?
Nan bread?
Nan bread, yeah. You have to have yogurt for those. Plain yogurt. You ready? No. Okay. We'll have to come back into this video and see if when we make ourselves some pizzas later,
Yeah, we'll have
if
to
they
see.
turn out good or not.
Have to see if they're poison or
Yeah.
not. Oh, I tore that one. Trying to pick it up.
Too thin. All right, my fault.
Here you go.
Okay.
Is that ready?
And it's ready. You could get your film and phone and do some close-ups and I'll mash it all together because we're not getting to see that pretty tortilla you're making. Hold on, I can really eat that behind. Pretty good.
Yep.
Last summer, or this summer, not last summer, we made some oil and vinegar dip, and we dipped our tortillas in those when they came off the griddle there. Boy, that was good eating.
What was the name of the place in Idaho when we lived there that we used to go get oil and vinegar?
Oh! It had the coolest name.
Yeah.
We used to see their truck all the time in our neighborhood.
Yeah, the owners lived in our neighborhood.
What was that?
something
Rustic.
olive.
Rustic olive?
No.
Pressed olive? Milled olive?
I can't think of the name. They had hundreds of different types of
Milled olive.
milled olive.
I think that's it, yeah.
I think it was. They had hundreds of different types of olive oils.
Vinegars, and you mix them together, and you get to taste them and figure out what you like. Those balsamic vinegars make some fabulous salad dressing.
A lot of different combinations of that stuff you could try.
We did it. Where else did we do it? In
We did it in Boone, North Carolina.
Yeah, that was good.
And we also did it in Franklin, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, that was our first experience with that.
Yeah, with Terry and
And our
her daughter,
Ashton,
yeah.
yeah, that's right.
she worked there, didn't she?
She did. She did before she went off to college, and now she's in Mexico. You know, these are the longest looking pieces of pizza. You know, we're not all about a circle, evidently. Should actually look up some actual pizza dough for this next time.
It's working just fine.
It looks good over there. Tim and I enjoy cooking together in the kitchen. Almost every night we make dinner together. Occasionally somebody will say, "Oh, I'm making such and such tonight," but mostly we're in here
One time we
together.
make supper together too.
Oh, Tim has a thing about the evening meal. I think it's called dinner. He thinks it's called supper.
My point is, when you see the portrait of the Last Supper of Christ, it doesn't say the Last Dinner, it says the Last Supper. And I grew up with it being, you had breakfast, dinner, and supper, so it's just ingrained in me.
Well, in Charlotte,
And younger
we didn't have
people,
it.
younger people,
We had
like-
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you were fancy, you could have
younger
brunch.
people have tried to change it because
I'm not changing it. That's how it was. This is my last wonky piece. All right.
Are you gonna make some more for some smaller?
I could. I got everything out here to do it. I can keep going with the big ones. I don't know.
Well, we probably got enough for the big pizzas.
Okay, we just want
If you wanna
snacks.
make some for the smaller ones.
Okay. I can do it. I can do it.
There's Elvis. No Christmas would be complete without songs from Elvis, Bing Crosby, Andy Williams, Dean Martin, and
The like.
yeah, and especially Burl Ives.
Oh yeah. He was the one that was on this Frosty the Snowman. Is that Burl Ives?
No, I think Frosty the Snowman was Jimmy Durante,
Oh, okay.
and Burl Ives was on Rudolph.
All right. Baking powder. Ah, there it is. Smells like tortillas in here. We had some Mexican food. Smells fabulous.
We could make it, it's just in the freezer.
Yeah, just didn't think it through.
We've got salsa and everything.
Maybe that'll be tonight's dinner, tomorrow's dinner.
What are we gonna have for supper?
Oh, there we are again. Doggone it.
Creepy.
Alright, how are we doing?
Doing good.
We're
I'm gonna
making
turn this
short.
thing down.
Oh, good, because I got a couple more minutes to go here.
Should I cut it off?
Maybe, yeah. Got to roll it out and everything.
Have another drink of the hard stuff.
Sweet tea.
Yep. Peach tea.
You know, we went to restaurants up here and we weren't really sure if they would have sweet tea or just Coke products or what. But they make a raspberry tea up here. Several restaurants have, and that's been really good. Sweetened.
The thing about this tea is it's good cold, but if you sit around and it warms up to room temperature, it's still good.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't go flat like a Coke or something would.
Yeah.
That's always an off flavor when your drink gets unfizzy.
Mm-hmm.
My drink of choice is the seltzer water with the flavors, but no sweeteners. That's my drink of choice.
I can't handle that.
The first time I tasted it, Jerry, who we were talking about before, handed me that LaCroix water one time years ago, and I thought I was gonna puke. I thought it was so nasty, but it grew on me or something. How's that weather looking?
Well, if it doesn't get any worse than this, we're okay.
What's our current temp over there?
31. It's supposed to get to 46, but I just don't see that happening.
Thank you.
Although we live in the United States, the town we live in borders Canada. If you take off walking a mile and a half through the woods, you'll be in Canada. So the town that we live in, the little village, we get our power from Canada. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad
Yeah.
thing in the storm, but
It is
you know,
something.
the power from that we get, our electricity in our town is generated in Canada. Matter of fact, if you walk up to the driveway and look out over the countryside, you're looking into Canada, New Brunswick.
So we figured if the U.S. power grid goes down, we might be all right. Of course, if the Canada power grid goes down, we're not.
Yeah.
I don't know which one's more vulnerable. I think our water is boiling over there. Is it all right?
It is boiling. I'll cut it down.
Okay.
We have oil heat, and it really, really gets dry inside. It can, you know, make breathing difficult. You know, it dries your nasal passages and your bronchial passages out. So we try to keep a pot of water on the stove heating at all times and put some moisture in the air. And Muffin likes for me to bring back some spruce boughs, and she puts that in the pot with it, and it has a fall or Christmas type scent to it, so it's pretty neat.
Smells like evergreen, and then
Oh yeah.
sometimes I put in a little cinnamon, essential oil, and boy, that smells nice.
It's 70 degrees inside
It's
now.
hot in here.
No, it's not hot in here. But typically, if you don't have a pot of water on the stove, putting some moisture in the air, the humidity inside the house can drop like to 15%, and that's bone dry. So right now, it's 44%
Okay,
in here,
we're
so
doing
that's
good.
really good, yeah.
Doing good. All right, so now we're gonna make those little tortillas.
Yep.
Okay, let's put that up. Out of the way.
Are you through with this?
Yes, all of that, I think. Until we measure everything perfectly. Bunches. Okay, here we go.
Let me crank my heat up a little bit. More of the hard stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, these are the smaller ones, right?
Supposed to be, but that was good
Yeah,
size
that's a
there.
good size there.
Maybe it'll shrink. You know, it ain't the end of the world if we have to break them in half to eat them.
That's a
You know.
fact.
So we were gonna make smoke a Boston butt for Christmas. But with the crazy weather pattern, we did not know if we would even have electricity. It gets so cold out there, the smoker has a tough time keeping a constant temperature. So we decided we might push that off till New Year's or something. The storm is unusual for everybody, so we didn't know what to expect. Hold up one of your big tortillas are gonna be pizza. Look at that, like a flatbread pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I'm betting that's gonna be tasty. We have cheese and we have pizza sauce and we have peppers and onions and pepperoni.
Yep.
So we got it all.
Ground beef.
Uh-huh. I would say cooking in a flannel shirt is not recommended.
Standing outside in 26-degree weather with a tank shirt on, flip-flops not recommended either.
Yeah, that was just
Typical.
I could go out there right now, or at least I think I would. Nothing says what the wind is out there right now. We can hear it howling though, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We usually get some pretty strong winds up here on our little hill where we live. So we figure normally when it's stormy or windy, we don't really worry because this house has been here for a long time and it's done fine. But this wind, if it's really is 50, 60 miles an hour, that is going to be a little different.
Yeah, like she said, we live up on top of a hill. The elevation above sea level in the town where we live is 450 feet. Where we live is 750 feet. We're up here on the hill, and we get winds when nobody else gets it.
So how many feet in elevation did we live in Mexico? It's a high desert. Mexico was kind of fabulous.
A little over 5,000.
We've got some friends that want to take us ice fishing in, I think, February or January, and so that'll be really cool. That'll be fishing on a whole different level.
Yep. They have ice fishing tournaments up here. One of the guys that works for the company where we get our heating oil, he was in an ice fishing tournament last year. And they take it serious up here, cold weather.
You have to stay safe.
Yeah, they go ice fishing. Our neighbor has a couple of snowmobiles. And I asked him, I said, is there a limit as far as cold where you won't go out? Because he goes out riding at night sometimes at 11, 12 o'clock. Sometimes he says he doesn't get back till 3 or 4 in the morning. And I said, is there a limit to how cold you'll go out? He said, well, if it's much past 25 below zero, he won't get ready and go out. But up to about 25 below zero, he's in for it. So that gives you an idea there.
We're made of hardy stuff up here.
How they embrace the cold. And we do too. It's like the UPS man said, you know, do we ever regret moving here from a warmer climate? And I said, no. I said, you know, we knew that it was cold before we moved here. So we just embrace it. It's like going to Arizona and complaining about, well, I didn't know it got hot here. Well, you know it gets hot in Arizona. Unless you're up Flagstaff and it doesn't get so hot up there like it does in Tucson.
All right, it's my break time.
It started in October, didn't it?
No.
Old Gene Autry. Well, he's one of the greats.
These are good.
Really? Yeah.
Make sure they're not poison.
Talking about old time Christmases, I remember when I was a kid, we used to wait a certain time of the year, late November, early December, for the mailman because he was bringing the Christmas wish book from Sears. We'd see him coming down the street. If we saw that he was taking those thick catalogs to people's houses, oh, we'd jump for joy.
I wonder if they even have anything like that anymore. I remember it too. I remember the Sears catalog. Now, that was different.
J.C. Penney had one. Montgomery Ward. There was a hardback catalog called the Bennett Blue Book, and all those came out.
And that was back in the day. If you mail ordered something, you mailed a check.
Yeah.
It was a really different deal. You know, on TV these days, you know, they'll have a commercial and say, you know, call in and order now. And they would then too.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to send in a check, or they'd send it COD, which is when it arrived, you wrote a check to the mailman or something. I don't know how that ever worked out. That'd be a lot to keep up with. But anyway, they used to have guys come door to door and sell stuff.
Yeah.
Like vacuum cleaners and encyclopedias.
Yeah, and then they had the Avon lady.
Oh yeah.
My grandmother used to get Avon from the Avon lady. They had Raleigh products.
Raleigh, like the city, Raleigh?
Yeah. And then they had Fuller brush.
Fuller brush. Oh, like a hairbrush or cleaning?
All kind of brushes, cleaning supplies, all kind of stuff. They had the trunk, had these big leather suitcases full of stuff to show you.
Come in your living room and everything.
Well, that's like the television repairman. I can't tell you how many times we probably had a tube go out, and the guy would come in with a big suitcase and open it up, and sections would fold back, and they'd have tubes, and they'd take the back off and put that tube in. Then they'd turn it on, and you'd see that little dot open up. And now, if you look for a TV repairman, you'd probably be looking for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Just throw it away.
Yeah, it is.
Take it out and somewhere and shoot holes in it or something.
Yeah.
I can remember when people would order things from Sears. We didn't have a big Sears in our town, had a small one, and it'd take a week or so and stuff would come in, and you could order anything from Sears. You could order anything from an 8-track tape player to a saddle for a horse, to a chainsaw, to a corset for a woman, or a gun. And back then, the good old days, if you ordered a hunting rifle and it came in, they'd call you, they'd come up and pick it up. You didn't have to show them
much of anything, right?
everything back to the day you were born to get it. You just go down there and
get it.
All you needed to get it was have the money.
Tell them, before we go, tell them how they used to do the raffle and spin that thing.
The town that I lived in was a small town, and there was a little gas station down at the end of the street where we lived, and we'd go down there, and it wasn't like a convenience store or a gas, it was just a gas station that had Pepsis and a few things like Beanie Weenies or something, because the train would stop there. The train tracks were right behind it, and they'd stop, and the engineer and the brakeman would go in and get a snack or something to eat. And every so often they would have a raffle for something like a rifle. And they would take a round piece of wood and draw off sections on it about that wide. And for $1, you could put your name on there. And if you wanted 5 spots, you give them $5 and put your name on it.
On 5 of those little slices?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they may have a couple of hundred names on there. Well, back then a 30-30 rifle was $89, brand new, Winchester 30-30. So on the Saturday that they decided to raffle it off, what they do is they get back and shoot a 22 as the thing spun, and whoever's name that landed on won the rifle. And so it was in a little town. And so everybody would gather around to see who won the rifle. The police would be there because they had their name on a couple of the slots. And so one of the workers from the gas station would go up about 100 yards and nail that round piece of wood with the names on it onto a telephone pole. And there was streets up there, businesses. It didn't have any homes. So late on Saturday afternoon, it was mostly woods to the section toward where they shot. The police would be there and everybody. So Sam, the gas station attendant, one of them, would go up and look to make sure no cars were coming. And he'd yell, "Nobody's coming." And he'd spin it. And the guy that owned the gas station would shoot in that direction and hit the board. And then they'd go up there, and whoever's name that 22 bullet landed in on won the rifle. And nobody was upset, tore all to pieces. I mean, the police were down there and they were hoping they got a rifle. But it's a different world now. I remember one time when I was in school, and I graduated in 1976, our math teacher had a Remington 1100 shotgun. And one of the students I went to school with had one too. And the teacher said, does yours have the vent rib barrel on it? And he said, yeah. And he said, well, bring yours in. I'd like to see if yours is the same Upland model as mine. So the next day, the guy that I went to school with was a year younger than me, comes walking down the hall with that shotgun thrown across his shoulder. Walks by the principal's office, walks by the secretary's office, and his name was Daniel. And the secretary just said, hey, Daniel. Went on. He went up there and went to the math teacher's room, and he said, yeah, I said, mine don't have this engraving on it and this and that. And he was looking at it and said, well, I appreciate you bringing it. Threw it across his shoulder, walked back out to school, put it in his truck in the gun rack, because a lot of the students would go squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting after school. Nothing ever said. You do that now, and you'd be on international news, you'd be thrown to the ground, and you'd have a federal criminal record for the rest of your life. But anyway.
Even gun racks don't exist in the cars or trucks anymore.
Anyway, that's just a
Different
little
world.
walk down the old memory lane.
Well, thank you for joining us for making our tortillas. When we have dinner tonight and turn it into pizza, we'll be sure and put some pictures in here of that.
And we'll have it for supper too.
Oh, darn. Supper. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Now I have to watch it yet.
Unfortunately, we were not able to cook our pizzas the way we thought we would, so we weren't able to show you video, but here it was what it looked like when Tim was frying them on the stove. We lost power last night for about 10 hours, so we did cook our pizzas. We used our jet boil and cooked them here in the dark, and it was absolutely delicious, but we didn't take the time to make a video. Anyway, have a great Christmas, and thank you for stopping by our channel.